Hello and welcome to Doubles and Trebles. It's Pieman here with your penultimate World Matchplay 2022 preview. Semi-final Saturday is upon us with two cracking contests to savour this evening. I can't wait. I'm going to quickly run through both of those games and give you a selection from each for good measure. Just before we dive into Saturday, I want to say thanks to anyone who watched yesterday's preview video. Our under 27.5 legs shout weighed in just. There was exactly 27 legs as Danny Noppert beat Dirk van Dijvenbode 16-11. So that was a winner. Unfortunately, our Gerwyn Price handicap bet didn't quite come in. It was looking extremely promising when he was 13-8 up in the race to 16 before Jose mustered a little bit of a comeback. I'd love to say I was annoyed, but you can't really get annoyed at the special one, can you? So, hey, we take the rough with the smooth and we move on to Saturday. And it is Friday's two winners who face off in our first semi-final evening as Gerwyn Price takes on Danny Noppert. Now, unsurprisingly, Price has been instilled as a warm favourite for this one, but the money just keeps coming for him. As I speak on Saturday morning, he's around 4-7 and Danny Noppert's out 13-8, 7-4 in a place. So, yeah, it's only going one way. I'd be surprised if some late money didn't come for Noppert closer to the off, but between now and then, he may well have drifted out to 2-1. Seems the market definitely wants to be with the Iceman. So just starting with the underdog, I think it's worth mentioning that we did put Danny Noppert up at the start of the tournament as our outright selection. Each way 4 places with Betfred, 33-1. So if you did follow that, well done. You weighed in with your 8 and a bit each way to 1 winner. Hopefully you can go a couple of steps further. His clash with Dirk last night was a bit of a funny one. There was some really extreme momentum shifts in there, but crucially, he started hot and he finished hot. And that kind of accounted for a bit of a flat spot in the middle where Dirk, to his credit, picked up. But I thought Noppert showed real guts in crucial moments. There was an unbelievable 150 check against the dart at 8-8. And that kind of epitomises him. He's got great timing. He's a very capable finisher. And then when Dirk lost his head a bit in the closing stages, Noppert just stayed calm, reeled off 6 legs, and in the end it looked like a comfortable victory, which it wasn't really, but that is credit to him. That calm aura seems to be a real advantage over the longer leg format, and I don't really see him getting too overawed by this occasion tonight. As for Price, I'm not sure I can find the superlatives to do his performance against De Souza justice last night. He was up at 104.7 average, but even that doesn't do it credit, really. There was just barely any treble-less visits. His doubling was relentless, up at near 50%. And it was only because De Souza was up at 70-something% for the majority of the game on his doubles, why it ended up being close at 16-14. I talk about him making slow starts. There was no slow start last night. Quick out the blocks, just as he talked about in his pre-match interview. And every facet of his game just looks so good right now that it's really hard to pick holes in him. He's got that champion's mentality. He's getting better and better by the match. And I think that he's a very worthy joint 2-1 favourite for the title alongside Michael van Gerwen, who, interestingly, he's never played in a Sky Sports final. Is that going to end? Quite possibly. So in terms of a prediction, as I say, I don't really see Danny Noppert wilting in this contest, but I think Price just might end up simply having too much for him, kind of like how Price's previous matches have gone. I could see it going in a similar pattern to the Chisnell game where it's tight for a long period, but then Price maybe just has too much in the end, goes up a couple of gears. I think Noppert's finishing, I'll see him hang in there. I'm not going to play the handicaps market, but I am just going to do split stakes in the correct score market. I think you can cover Price 17-12 or 17-13, both at 11-1. So I would just level your stakes between those two. And I think you'll get a really good run for your money. As I say, I see it being close, but I just see Price having a little bit too much. I don't think we'll be going into the depths of overtime here. I think Price can get it done with a little bit of comfort, but certainly a hard night's work in store for the Iceman. Then on to our second semi-final, which I'm just nearly salivating thinking about. It could be so good. Michael van Gerwen taking on Dimitri van den Bergh. And in my opinion, these two, when they're on their game, are possibly the most exciting two darts players on the planet to watch. And boy, have they been on the game this week. Van Gerwen naturally in a slight favourite, but Dimitri at 6-5 could make some appeal. But anyway, let's get into it. Well, starting with Van Gerwen, and we talk about Gerwyn Price growing into this tournament game by game. MVG is doing exactly the same. He was a little bit underwhelming in round 1 against Adrian Lewis, but did enough with an 89 average to win 10-7. And then he came up against Joe Cullen, but Cullen was really subpar, and it was still hard to know exactly where Van Gerwen was at coming into that quarterfinal against Aspinall. And it was a tale of two halves, to be honest. The first half was absolute vintage MVG. 11-4 up after 15 legs, and it was literally like I'd gone back in a time capsule 5 years, 10 years when watching him. He was brilliant. However, Aspinall came back at him, as we've seen in a lot of these quarterfinals, the losing player refusing to lie down. I think you've got to give credit to Aspinall for that, but it was a little bit concerning to see Van Gerwen go off the boil for a few legs. But he got over the line, a marvellous 1-4-6 against the darts to silence the crowd that had been booing him in the previous leg on Match Darts. So, yeah, I think if I had to put a percentage on it, we've got to be about 75% towards peak MVG. There's still a little bit in the locker, certainly in terms of consistency, but the flashes are turning into much longer stints. And I think that gives anyone in this field a headache if he turns up at 75% plus. And then on the other hand, we have Dimitri, who for my money has probably been the most impressive player this week on the board. I know he's had a little bit of stick for the way he carries on off it and in between legs and stuff, but I think you've got to block that out and just focus on the darts player in these situations. And he really is a mercurial talent. If we're talking about natural talent, I think him and Van Gerwen are very much up there together as good as it gets. The way he's played in this tournament, he blew Callum Ridds away 10-2 in the opener, then looked to have a really tricky game against the rapidly improving Roby John Rodriguez. He kept him at arm's length all the way. And then what a quarterfinal against Peter Wright. Raced out the blocks, then Wright stormed back at him. And to be honest, it really felt like the momentum had gone against Van den Bergh until them last legs when he pulled out two fantastic legs from 14-all to win it, avoid going to overtime and knock out the reigning champion. And that is just an epitome of the class he possesses as a darts player. And I really think he is a live chance in this game. So when I'm summing it all up, I just have to be with Van den Bergh at 6-5. I don't think you can ignore it at odds against. They're very hard to split these two, but if I had doubts over one player in particular, and I am being picky there, I would have to go for Van Gerwen. These flat spots he keeps hitting and the niggling wrist injury, he keeps saying he's not 100%. You wonder if that's got a part to play at some point, maybe in a performance drop late in the day. But no, I just think Dimitri passed all the tests put in front of him by Peter Wright. He showed his bottle. He's a previous winner of this tournament. He's not going to be overawed by the occasion. And I think he can get the job done. There's also an interesting request a bet up on Sky currently for Dimitri to hit 2 or more checkouts of 130 or higher. 11-4, that is. That's worth a play. I could see these two really getting in a nice rhythm. They play at a similar pace, similar style. They're both going to get into the flow state, and I think that makes big finishing a high possibility. We saw Van den Bergh hit a 1-4-6 against Roby John Rodriguez. He was a little bit quiet on that front against Wright, but I could see him with Van Gerwen, both of them banging in a few big finishes, and I think I want to get that onside at 11-4, 130 plus 2 or more. So that concludes the semi-final preview. I hope you enjoyed it and feel sufficiently clued up on tonight's matches. I can't wait for them. Don't forget to let me know who you're backing in the comments. Give this video a like and press subscribe if you haven't already. And just before you go, do check out our other video on the channel about our ticket giveaway. We've got 2 grandstand and paddock tickets to give away for York Juddmonte International Day next month at York Races. A fantastic day out, all free, and it's a free-to-enter competition as well. So be sure to check that out and get involved. Thanks for watching and see you again very soon.